or mental, the diseases are skyrocketing.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
so I do see a lot more people willing to have the conversation.
Which is great because, I mean, isn't that what we're in it for?
It's very
You and
true.
I, you and I.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Right.
always,
We're the surf instructors saying, hey, this is what's happening and this is how you do it.
yeah. And the tagline I love for Satsang House is, creating world peace one person at a time.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love
Because,
that.
it's interesting because I tell some of my students when they leave, I said, I can teach you absolutely everything I know about meditation and about how to incorporate it into your life. But if you walk out of here and you don't practice, it's like we just had a really nice cup of tea
Right.
and a great conversation. But really the sticking point is the discipline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I even tell people, even taking that to the next levels, look, why are you meditating at all? And it's to be connected to higher source. It's to be connected to your true self. And it's to really learn how to go through life in that state, not just, 10, 20, 30, 40, however long you meditate for. And so there's those progressive steps. And when I really try to break it down in that way, like, why are we doing any of this at all in the first place? People are able to take that with them more and remember, like, oh, I really should do that because this is why. So that discipline builds. But you're right. And we always say that no one will ever change until they're ready to, until they make the choice.
Well, and I think too, at least from what I see at my door, is people who are under such enormous stress that first the conversation has to start with stress reduction, because they can't possibly get to the spiritual aspect of meditation until we start to settle down the physiology and the internal dialogue first. And then that, of course, hits home to why we meditate to begin with.
Right. And that has been an interesting part of our journey in coaching and whatnot, because we started really spiritual. Then we went to much more mental health and stress and anxiety. And we kind of left the spiritual in a different place. And now we're just very upfront with, hey, look, meditation, the side effects of meditation are less stress and all these things. And yes, that is a part of what you're going to learn, and this is what you'll experience. But that's not why we're doing it. And spirituality and meditation, just at their core, cannot be separated. And we try to make the spiritual conversation so natural, so much like, yeah, that's the way it is, that people are like, oh yeah, that is. And it's just like, it's taking spiritual words and putting modern terms to them and then saying, oh yeah, by the way, that's what I'm talking about. And they're like, oh, I get what prana is. Like, yeah, that totally makes sense. And you're like, yeah, so that's just, changing the conversation and make it super normal.
Right.
Because that's what it is. It's a part of our lives. We just need to learn the language and learn how we interact with it. And then
I think it's interesting. You touch on a great point, because some people come and they think, oh, is this religious? Is this and that is the conversation, that it is normal. This is just part of, really, we are not human beings trying to have a spiritual experience. We're already spiritual.
right.
And
Yes.
a lot of us have forgotten that. Many of us have forgotten that, or never knew it.
Well, the veil has been, that rising energy is pulling back the veil. And I think that's why your work and my work is so important, is we're teaching people how to navigate that space, and ourselves along the way. There's always the ever deepening perspective. And it's just, it's such a beautiful journey to be on. It can be frustrating at times, and that's a part of the journey. And, it's just whatever comes up. And
one of the things Deepak, I studied under Deepak Chopra for about 11 years. And one of the things he always says is, we are not the drop in the ocean. We're the ocean in the drop.
Ooh, I like that.
Isn't that beautiful? And when we can wake up to realizing, we are the water in the rain and the stream and the ocean and the rivulet and the river and all of it. We are all of it.
Right.
Yeah, I love that.
And that's, that's super beautiful. And we talk about levels of awareness, and we say, okay, right now we're at 1 foot and we're having this conversation about so-and-so cut me off on the way to work. And then we start talking, we go up to 10 feet, and then 100 feet, we're talking about good and evil and the duality of nature. And then we go to 1,000 feet and we talk about yet all those things are you. At your core, you are all things. And so we take people wherever they are, and we start to say, okay, but the thing is you don't have to live here. This is a part of you, as is this, and as is this. And where to be aware enough to recognize where you are in that situation, in that moment, and then to have all of these at once. That's how we bring spiritual, super deep spirituality into the everyday, and the everyday into super deep spirituality. And like you said, it's gradually, where is someone taking that perspective? But I love that quote, because that's the 1,000-foot view that we talk about.
Yeah. Isn't that beautiful? And one of the things too that I like to talk to my students about is this idea that we literally live in 3 states of consciousness all the time. We're either in waking, sleeping, or dreaming state. And there are 7 levels of consciousness. So if we're perpetually living in 3, wow, I can't wait to get to the other 4, right? So when I teach meditation, we talk a lot about the ego mind and how the ego is the most constricting piece of getting us to those other states of consciousness. And we can't get past the ego until we quiet the mind. Then another conversation that you reminded me of too is I have this conversation with people, and some of them get really tripped up when I say, look, the state of our current government and the way things are going is a collective conscious state. It's not like so-and-so voted for so-and-so and so-and-so voted for someone else. We all collectively have put this person in office, and we all collectively can do something or not about what it is we're seeing. Mm-hmm. People kind of look at me a little stumped, like, what do you mean? Mm-hmm. So the notion of collective consciousness, I think, at least when I'm talking to people, seems to be a little harder, a little trickier.
And it is. And just like you said, who are we talking to? And that's when I often bring up quantum physics and just, hey, what is happening in the world of quantum physics? Well, we're starting to recognize that we have our own energy fields, and they actually interact with your energy field. And then they're all made of the same matter. And then there's this underlying connection between all things. And, some people are like, oh, that's fascinating. Other people are like, yawn. So it's very much, there's different ways that we bridge that conversation, but you're right. And that's a challenge. And that's something that's one of the later things that we get into is like, look, everything you do affects the other, everything. And so understanding how each choice you make does that, you probably never know the full extent of it, but you can start to make conscious choices. It's one of the reasons we called our company called Consciously. What are your conscious choices you're making every single day?
But I don't think that you can get, and this is just me, I don't think that you can get or find yourself in a conscious state until you're willing to be responsible. If you're living in a victim state, mm-hmm. and you think all of that's happening out there separate from me, until you bridge that gap, it's very difficult, I think, for you to have the consciousness or the awareness to realize that you are part of the greater whole.
Right.
You are part of the nature, those flowers, the birds, and I am you and you are me. And why are you vegetarian, right? Mm-hmm. There are certain things that in your heart and your mind and your intuition that drive that thinking as well. I am committed to do no harm.
Right.
Because my actions affect everything.
And that is, so we have an acronym called MAGIC. And the 4th, the I, stands for impact what matters. And that's when we really get into that. And we talk about, hey, look, you impacted your health. You impacted these animals. You impacted this world. You impacted the energy of this world. And that's just through the nutrition that you changed, in the meditation that you changed, in all these different things. Look at this larger impact. Mm-hmm. And then from there, we say, what do you choose to do? What are your values? What do you stand by as a person, mm-hmm. as a human being? And then when we get them in that space, that's what you're talking about. We start to say, now look, that victim mentality versus owning your space. that's how we kind of bridge that gap a little bit. And then from there we say, okay, now we're going to go even deeper, because spiritually this is that connector of all things. And it's, some people vibe with it differently, but it's very much, there's so many levels of how we impact everything. So many levels. And it's each one's important.
Yeah. And everyone's in a different place, you
Right.
know? And it's interesting because I have a student that is reconnecting with me after a year. I haven't seen him in a year, and I hadn't talked to him in a year. And he just recently reconnected and said, "I'm so excited to see you again, to let you know that I've been meditating since I saw you last."
Wow.
And I'm just, and he said, it's had such an enormous impact on my life. I can't wait to share it with you. I was like, oh, isn't that the music to your ears?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it is the discipline. And if you really don't create the discipline, not like another to do, but like a discipline that you gotta, I always tell students, if you meditate on a regular basis, twice a day, every day, for about 2 weeks, you'll start to notice a shift in a very short period of time. It'll be subtle, but super profound.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see this guy again and just chat with him about how it's going. It's just, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Win. I love that. That's very cool.
Right. Well, gosh, it's been great. Really great chatting with you.
You as well. And once again, I'm glad you're doing this, because it's important work. It's energy shifting. It's choices made. So I love it.
Now, are you podcasting as well?
No, I don't have a podcast. It was kind of one of those decisions we made along the way. I do. I want to say that I know at least 5 to 10 people all with podcasts that I can connect you with. And,
that'd be great.
And yeah, and they, and you probably want to, I'll connect you, see their vibes. Some of them are very spiritual. Some of them, not as much. It's not in their message as much, but they're definitely impactors. So yeah, I'll send out an email connecting with them all. And they've, some of them are newer. Some of them have had hundreds of podcasts on theirs. So you can pick up little tidbits from them and learn from them, and everyone does it differently. One of my buddies has a radio show because he wants his to be different. And I think that you'll enjoy them.
Yeah, it's great. I'd appreciate that. The more exposure we can all make, the greater impact we can all make.
Right.
That's
right.
Great. Well, maybe we should collaborate sometime on something with you and your partner.
Yeah, and I don't know when the next time I'm being in San Diego is, but I will definitely look you up and
please
come by the center.
Yeah, and I have a guest house out in the orchard.
So very cool.
Absolutely beautiful. You're welcome to bring your partner, stay, whatever.
Yeah, we might take you up on that. That sounds great.
Especially now, because all the fruit trees are going nuts.
Yeah, okay.
It's raining nectarines and peaches.
Ooh.
Plums and apricots.
Those my partner, she has a sweet tooth for both of those, so that's music to her ears. I love it.
The plums are probably about 3 weeks off.
Wow.
Yeah, but right now we've got nectarines out of my ears.
That's amazing. And
we have macadamia nuts and avocados and apples and oranges and key limes and all of it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a beautiful space.
Yeah, that's how big is the property?
It's just over an acre.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I'm so blessed.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
When my son goes off to college, I'm thinking about turning it into a retreat center.
I was getting the energy of it. It was a retreat center. So then, that totally vibes. Vibes.
I do silent retreats now, a day of silence. And that's really, really nice. But I'd like for people to stay over and, be here for longer periods of time.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, you're welcome anytime.
I appreciate that.
It's been a pleasure getting to know you. I can't even remember how I found you, but I'm sure glad I did.
Me as well. Maybe it was the podcast guests or.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Yeah.
And I look forward to chatting with you soon, and I'll let you know when it's going to air.
Perfect. Sounds good. And I will, once we reconnect, I'll connect you with all those people.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thanks so much, Harry. Have a great day.
Thank you too. Take care.
Bye.